Dog. But ultimately, it's a really fun film that works just as an action adventure.
No, it doesn't.
And then also there are all of these layers underneath.
There's no layers.
What it means to be male and female in this world. What it means to be separated by communication.
No, that doesn't happen.
How one overcomes
Daisy,
that.
you're broken.
Dog, noise, dog.
Have you been missing Rey since the end of The Rise of Skywalker? Have you missed that open-mouthed girl who was great at everything? Well, fear not, Rey is back. Well, I should probably say Daisy Ridley is back with the exact same performance she laid down as Rey in the Star Wars sequels. This time she's mouth-breathing through the absolutely terrible chaos walking. And don't worry, Daisy dives back into her box of talents and gives us the constant open mouth, the limited range that contains at most 3 different expressions, and of course she brings back the ability to completely not understand what a scene calls for and what she should do as an actor. The spoilers from this moment on. Now, the first time I'd heard of this film was when I joked on Twitter that The Rise of Skywalker, saying that feels like a bit of vomit in the mouth. Yes, I joked that The Rise of Skywalker would sadly be the last time we would see Daisy.
Rey Skywalker.
This upset a few people who let me know about the totally amazing upcoming Daisy Ridley film, Chaos Walking. Now, Star Wars has never been a series to set careers on fire. Harrison Ford can thank Indiana Jones for securing his big box office appeal. And yes, I know, Peter Mayhew and Kenny Baker both went on to have huge careers in the adult entertainment industry, but poor Mark Hamill was too well known as Luke Skywalker to become an A-lister, though that's a pretty good gig to have until this little prick came along. Now, just like Mark, Daisy is pretty much now known as Rey, so when choosing future roles, she'd probably be smart to try and move away from her Rey character. And I don't know, not pick a sci-fi movie where she plays another bright-eyed fish out of water, space girl, whose parents are dead and she's all alone. She's instantly great at everything. The male lead automatically falls for her. Someone that knows her way around a decrepit spaceship, knows how to get old parts working again, defeats the villain who is way stronger than her. Oh, Christ. She even finishes the film looking over the injured hero in a hospital bed. Yes, it's Rey all over again.
We'll see each other again.
The only saving grace in this predictable, written by the numbers, a plain stupid movie is that she is not the main character. Tom Holland is, and that poor bastard is trying his heart out to lift this film above a complete shit. He and Mads Mikkelsen, I know I'm not pronouncing that right. And how did he end up in this fucking film? He couldn't do a bad job if he was paid to. Him and Tom should both be in a different film. Because at its best, this film is a Walking Dead episode, minus the zombies. And not even a good one.
Doing? I'm sorry.
Anyhow, this film is based on a very successful book that apparently has a lot of humour. This film does not have humour, unless you count watching Daisy trying to work out how to act in every scene, because that's the only way you're going to get a bit of a laugh. This film was announced back in 2011, with the directing gig being given to Doug Liman all the way back in 2016. They started principal photography in 2017 for a 2019 release.
Doug Liman's got this movie coming, Chaos Walking. Tom Holland, Spider-Man. You got Daisy Ridley, Rey, in there, right? I've never understood the question about such and such trailer isn't out yet. Should we be worried? Worried about what?
Yeah.
The best trailers are usually to the worst movies. Just because they haven't put a trailer out, it says nothing about whether the movie is good or bad. I'll tell you this, should we be worried about the quality? No.
Doug Liman is one of these Hollywood directors that keeps falling up. He was sacked from The Bourne Identity and was only lucky to have some success with The Edge of Tomorrow after he was helped out the same way he was helped in this film.
Amazing. He did Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which not a lot of people talk about. That movie, if you've never seen Mr. and Mrs. Smith, go watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Chaos Walking was set to be released in 2019 until someone watched it and realised it was fucking awful. Lionsgate pulled it from release, saying that the first cut turned out so poorly it was deemed unreleasable. Sounds like The Last Jedi. And they spent millions doing reshoots to turn it into something that could be called watchable.
Tired, thirsty, tired. I gotta stop. I don't know. Crack!
So Tom, who plays Todd, lives on a planet that is in the process of being settled by Earthlings. Todd was born on this planet and has never met a female. Well, except the one he came out of. And that's because all women were killed by the native aliens when Todd was a baby. Well, that is what Todd is led to believe anyhow. Now, as this film can't be fucked explaining anything, that is all we know about the creatures that live on this planet. We only see one once and it seems strong and aggressive until little Todd starts beating it up. And then Rey. Oh, look, her name is Viola, but it's just going to be Rey from now on because it's Rey. And then Rey yells, "Stop." So the alien does and just wanders off and we never see them again. They just completely ignore the rest of the story. And I think everyone should take their lead. And the alien wandering off isn't the best just wandering off moment in the movie. Towards the end, there's a real showstopper where one of the main characters just wanders off and we never see him again either. So because Todd's town only has men, they are almost all super aggressive. I think the movie is trying to say that that's just the way men are. But I'm guessing it's the lack of women and the gigantic group case of blue balls that's really what's getting them all worked up. The only two nice dudes are Todd's fathers, who decide to go with the flow and explore uncharted regions together and set up a little lovely house for them to look after Todd. Neither of them are actually Todd's parents, so let's hope it's all above board. A little break to tell you about a great offer from our latest sponsor, Skillshare. If you consider yourself a creative person with a passion you want to explore, or if you want to get your claws into a new skill, then Skillshare is the place for you. And trust me, they cover it all, whether it's photography, graphic design, creative writing, animation, fine art, or music production. Hit me with those beats. The list goes on. Maybe you want to get into filmmaking. Then you could have the honor of Robot Head reviewing your movie one day. Well, they do that too, don't they?
My name is Nguyen An Nguyen.
His course, Indie Filmmaking, Get the Blockbuster Look on a DIY Budget, will show you how to blow people's minds with very little money. And Skillshare is not just for beginners, no, it's also for working creatives to add to their collection of skills. You could always get better. Do you want a free trial so you can try and be a more interesting person? Of course you do. The first 1,000 people that use the link in the video description will get a free trial of the Skillshare Premium membership. So that means you can explore your creativity for free. Become a member of this amazing creative community. Join Skillshare. It's not going to even cost you anything to try. Now, the big clanger of this film is that on this planet, all men's thoughts are projected around their heads with audio, which, as you can imagine, would be super awkward.
I'd rather be with you. Kiss me, Todd. Kiss me. Kiss me.
No, wait, I didn't even say that. I'm sorry.
In fact, it was so awkward that the men agreed to kill all the women because their thoughts were private. Apparently, bitches can't have secrets. And the killing spree was led by, of course, the preacher.
Into the lake of fire!
See, the preacher hates all women.
You hide your noise like a woman.
I consider that a compliment.
And instead of his thoughts just spinning around his head, he has fire and brimstone spewing from his whole body for some reason. The fact that he has this special feature is never explained. In fact, none of the male thought phenomenon is ever explained. Some can control it, some can't. And some can project incredible lifelike images just out of the blue. Todd, just like Ray with the Force, perfects this power so quickly, he can create perfect copies of people, including their voices and mannerisms. And that's people he's never even met before. He even knows magically the songs they used to sing. He even knows how they were killed somehow. Because you see, Todd was just a baby when all these people died, and he only found out the day before mastering this power that they were all killed by the men anyway. Yet he can perfectly create a copy of people that he's never met and project them around a person who knew them. Todd is just suddenly the most powerful thought user on the planet. Remind you of someone? And even though we are shown that this character, the mayor, knows how to use this same power and knows that it is Todd's thoughts creating these people, he reacts like he is being confronted by the dead resurrected. He's so spun out with fear that it ends up killing him. And if you think the idea of hearing characters' thoughts the whole way through a film could get annoying, you couldn't be more right. It's really fucking annoying.
I like your hair. It's pretty.
That must be overwhelming.
Especially when most of it's talking about how pretty Ray is.
I'd stay with you, Todd. I'd rather be with you. Kiss me, Todd. Kiss me.
I mean, to be fair, he's got nothing to compare it to.
No blonde hair. I've just never seen a girl before.
So anyway, back to how Ray gets there. So Ray crashes onto the planet in what looks like a slightly more advanced version of a space capsule from the 60s, which is a surprise because at the end of the film, a big-ass Star Destroyer mothership just lands on the planet. If you have an intergalactic spaceship the size of a city that can just hover and land wherever it wants, why are you shooting 1960s space capsules at the planet that can burn up on re-entry? But this is a film full of tech that doesn't make any sense when we see how advanced this civilization is in the end. Also, Ray's 1960s capsule crashes and explodes just behind Todd's farmhouse in the middle of nowhere in the middle of the night, and no one hears it.
Would you guys quit looking at each other and somebody talk to me?
Anyhow, Todd finds Ray and it's the first woman he's ever seen. Sadly, his explosive erection kills him. That's the end of the movie. Well, that would have been an easier story. But anyway, Todd finds Ray and is convinced to go on the run with her to have a chance at a normal life. The mayor is not happy about this, as he wants to use her as bait to take over her ship so he can take over the other villages and stop living as an outcast, which makes no sense, as later he just rides into those towns and takes over anyway. And this is on the way to take over the ship to rule the other towns. This film doesn't even try to make any sense. Plus, how exactly was he going to take over the Star Destroyer with a small bunch of hillbillies?
I'm done living in exile. If we take her ship, we can take control of the planet.
Every time he says they're going to take over the ship, we picture the Moonlander space capsule. But this whole time he's been talking about taking over a massive Star Destroyer with a handful of rednecks. This is easily one of the messiest, if not stupidest films I've ever seen. So the rest of the movie is the mayor chasing Ray. Before she can warn the Star Destroyer, the 20 redneck hillbillies are waiting for them. And the old Moonlander coming from the Star Trek spaceship isn't the only bit of confusing tech. All the tech in this film is confused. The film is set in 2257, and Daisy's ship has been travelling for 60 years to get to this newly settled planet. They left Earth before the first settlement, Todd's group, had even arrived, which doesn't fit with any of the tech we see. Todd's group are riding horses and living like the Amish, except for tractors and motorbikes. Ray's ship looks like it's from Star Trek, but then we find out that Todd came on the exact same type of ship. We know this because Ray finds Todd's ship and knows exactly where the beacon is to call her ship, because Todd's ship is the same as her ship. So somehow Todd's group devolved from super high tech to living in the mud. And even though Ray was born on this super high-tech intergalactic spaceship, she somehow knows how to do everything on this planet, including starting a dirt bike whose only futuristic upgrade is that it takes ages to start. We already have more advanced electric bikes. And Ray just doesn't know how to start the dirt bike. She can ride it like she's part of the X Games crew. That's right, her space voyage that started before she was born included rallycross lessons. Seriously, the fact that she knew how to start the bike was impressive, but how the fuck does she know how to ride it? At the end, when we see how advanced her ship is, we have to imagine that there's some sort of dirt bike track on there. Ray even survives jumping the motorbike off a cliff. Yes, she goes so high that I truly thought this was some surprise flying motorbike, and that's how she was going to get away. But no, she drops like a fucking stone, and she's fine, just like Ray would be. The thin storyline of Ray trying to get a message to her ship before the mayor can stop her comes to a climax, if you can call it that, at the ruins of the spaceship that brought Todd's family to the planet. And like I said, thank God it's the same ship as Ray's, because Ray needs to know exactly where the magic beacon is. And when she gets there, luckily, it still works. But there's a hiccup in her plan. The antenna's not plugged in. And even though Todd, who has never seen this ship or anything like it, didn't even know it was there, he somehow knows where to look and what the antenna is. He then knows how to get to it and how to plug it back in. To be fair, the plugging back in didn't look too difficult. I was just surprised that a multi-billion-dollar city-sized spaceship just had their antenna plugged into a lead.
It's so loud here.
We call it the noise.
But Todd knowing his way around this foreign ship isn't as amazing as the preacher knowing exactly where to go to find the evil woman. Last we'd seen of him, he was left miles behind on a river. Next thing, he's caught up, found his way through the labyrinth of a decayed old spaceship and finds Ray. And what is the most bizarre scene in the film, and surely this wasn't what they planned, is when, after fighting for a bit, Ray just sets him on fire. And boy, does he go up like a Roman candle. He then just proceeds to wander off still talking to himself. It's like he turns into some type of spirit mumbler. Then Ray hits the send message button to her ship. She then makes it outside in record time to save Todd, and then kills the mayor. And then within minutes of her calling her home ship, the massive city Star Destroyer comes through the clouds, and all the other murderous men that have been chasing her this whole time just run away, never to be seen or mentioned again.
How many are coming? 100. 200.
Thousands.
So Chaos Walking is a hard, boring, poorly written slog, which makes no sense and has the added bonus of having Ray 2 in it. I think Daisy should take a leaf out of Mark Hamill's book. At least after Star Wars, he tried to do some completely different roles. He didn't take another role of a farm boy hero in a space fantasy. He at least made the effort. Daisy didn't get that memo, and she's going to be seen as Ray forever. Oh well, no great loss to the acting community. Bye Daisy, it was nice knowing you.
I've done a video game that's coming out soon called 12 Minutes. I have done an Audible original called Islanders, which actually comes out next week. And then Chaos Walking, which we shot many, many years ago, is finally due to be released in cinemas in January 2021.